The rise of Webkinz World in the 2000s was insane to watch in real time. From starting off with only 8 plush toys in 2005, to absolutely taking off with millions of players online, to developing merchandise, to adding spin-off games, all leading up to the Webkinz Next and Webkinz Classic that we know today. Both the plush pets and the game have gone through so many changes over the last 20 years. That's right, 20 years. As of April 15th, 2025, Webkinz is officially a 20-year-old game. And it's left such a special and lasting impact on so many that grew up with it in the early 2000s. And they are still updating the game for the adults who grew up with it and for the new generation of kids today. My name is Maya Faith, and this is your dose of 2000s nostalgia. Today, I want to discuss the evolution of both the Webkinz plush pets and the website over the last 20 years. As someone who has played this game since I was 8 years old in 2006, I feel like I've really watched the plush toys and the website drastically evolve. So stick around as we deep dive into the many different eras of the most iconic virtual world, Webkinz World. Webkinz are a collectible plush toy line that was created by the giftware company Gans. According to the creative director of Webkinz, Carl Borst, the Webkinz plush toys were the first to be created in the year 2003. Howard Gans, the owner of the company, loved the plush product and wanted to do something new to get the message out. The company did not feel that television advertising was a wise investment and decided to invest that budget in an online site instead. Little did they know how smart of a decision that was about to be. Borst also mentions he was inspired by the virtual world Neopets at the time while creating the website, which Webkinz was often compared to back in the early 2000s. So after bringing the plush pets and the online virtual world together, the idea of Webkinz World was officially born. Back in the early days before Webkinz officially launched, the virtual world looked very different. Both the world and the pets were created in 3D, which Webkinz has posted some footage of. The designers had a difficult time working on this 3D space, so it was scrapped and changed to the 2D style we know today. The original concept of the game also had little to do with caring for virtual pets, which did not go over well for the kids that tested the original game out. They wanted to take care of their pets and play games in the arcade, so massive changes were made over the next following months until the game launched in April of 2005. So let's take it all the way back to 2005 and 2006 in what I would like to call the beginning era. In 2005, Webkinz released their first line of plush pets. There were 8 pets in the lineup. There was a black bear, a lion, a cocker spaniel puppy, a blue hippo, a golden retriever puppy, a pig, a cow, and a black and white cat. Each pet had small black beads for eyes, iconic stringy fur, and a W logo on their paws. The stringy fur that Webkinz originally started off with may have been inspired by Punkies. Punkies were a plush toy line created by Ty that retired in 2002. This is a consistent theme you'll kind of see as we go forward, with Ty and Webkinz kind of being inspired by each other. Attached to each Webkinz pet was a hang tag that, when opened, revealed a secret code that would allow you to register your pet online and access Webkinz World. The original Webkinz cost around $10 in 2005, which very much changed as time went on. In the following months after launch, Webkinz would add even more pets to the lineup. There was a basset hound, elephant, golden white cat, Saint Bernard, monkey, unicorn, gray and white cat, and the ever iconic cheeky dog and cheeky cat. The cheeky dog and cheeky cat are kind of infamous for being the first Webkinz to retire on the website, making them more rare and sought out by collectors. It's funny because when I was a kid and I saw that they were retiring one of the Webkinz pets, it instantly made me want that pet more. They knew what they were doing. Lilkins were also introduced at the end of the year in 2005. Lilkins were a smaller version of the regular Webkinz pets, which made them just a little less expensive at around $8 to $9. When you typed webkinz.com into your browser in 2005, you were immediately greeted with this little homepage where you could adopt your first pet or log back into your account. By hitting the My First Adoption tab, you are immediately met with a penguin character named Ms. Birdie, who runs the adoption center. After she introduces herself, she will have the player enter their secret code to unlock their forever friend. Now Now you get to choose your pet's gender and give them a name. Each plush pet you registered came with the stylized cartoon version of them that you would unlock on the website. Miss Birdie will then present you with a certificate and a bio for your new Webkinz friend. The bios would just give you a little explanation of some of your Webkinz favorite things and when their birthdays were. And this would give me ideas on how I wanted to decorate my pet's rooms. My very first Webkinz let me know in their bio that their best friend was a gray elephant, so the second Webkinz I ever bought was a gray elephant. It was just a small thing that really brought these pets to life in this cozy, colorful world. Once the adoption process was done, you would be led to your pet's very own room. It would be up to you to purchase and decorate the room with fun toys and furniture. Each pet was also given a present for its birthday with some cute little items to get them started. At the bottom of the screen, you'll have a little dock that shows you the Webkinz you're actively playing, along with a health, hunger, and happiness bar. You'll want to keep your pet fed, make sure they don't get sick, and make sure to play with them and buy them gifts to increase their overall happiness. Something else that I found really cool about this game was that your Webkinz would interact with you. You were a part of Webkinz World just as much as they were. Your pet could break the fourth wall and talk to you and blow kisses at you and wave at you and say hello. And it was just a really sweet and simple interaction that would make it really feel like your Webkinz was alive, that this really was your real pet. And listen, you are a parent now at 8 years old. You have all of this responsibility now of taking care of your pet and making sure they're happy and healthy. They need food. They need a bed. They need entertainment. Where are you going to get the money to afford all of this? Well, Webkinz has its own currency system known as Kinz Cash. Kinz Cash can be earned by playing games in Webkinz World. These games can be found at the arcade, the tournament arena, and they can also be purchased to play in your house. Probably one of the most memorable aspects of playing Webkinz as a kid was playing the mini games you could find in the arcade. And even back in 2005, they had so many games to offer. These arcade games were so addicting. Some of the most popular games were games like Cash Cow, which was a match 3 puzzle game. Wacky Zingos was definitely a fan favorite as well. And then who could forget the Wheel of Wow? This was a simple game where you would spin the wheel and earn a prize that day. The wheel could only be spun once a day, and prizes would rotate every 2 weeks. Every 2000s kid remembers clicking on this one and hearing the iconic voice say, "The wheel of wow!" The arcade also allowed for you to earn trophies by hitting certain goals or earning a spot on the champion board if you had the highest score of the day. Earning a trophy truly made you feel so cool, and I was never able to get the highest score of the day. After playing games to your heart's content and earning as much Kinz Cash as you could, you'll want to finally purchase some snacks, clothes, and furniture at the W Shop. The W Shop can be found under the Things to Do tab on the website. The shop is categorized by different furniture items, toys, clothes, and food for your pet. I loved looking through all of the different shirts, hats, and shoes that I could dress my pet up in. And I also loved that there were different room themes for your bedrooms. There were sports themes like baseball and football, and there were specific animal themed rooms like cats and dogs, or there were jungles or lily pads. There was a rock and roll theme and a ballerina theme. But not only could you create a bedroom for your pet, you could add even more rooms to the house. You could purchase more space and create kitchens, bathrooms, living rooms, playrooms, even backyard spaces. I spent so much time trying to create the most epic rooms in all of Webkinz World. I mean, look at this masterpiece. Something that I also really appreciated at the time was that a lot of the furniture items that you could place in your house were actually interactable, which you can't really say for a ton of MMOs at the time. The furniture in Shining Stars was literally decoration. Same with Club Penguin. I think you could turn the TV on. Same thing with Toontown. You couldn't sit in any of the chairs. But in Webkinz World, you could put your pets to bed. They could sit on the couch. They could use the stove to actually cook and make food. They could jump on the trampoline. They could swim in the pool. You could give your pets a bath by clicking on the bathtub in the house. Furniture could be used as storage rather than just using the dock at the bottom of the screen. You could buy your pets games that could only be played in the house, like Go Fish, Checkers, air hockey, Zingo switcheroos, Dogbeard's bathtub battles, and so many more. And then the television. The television would play one of 2 shows for you and your Webkinz to watch. There was The Secret Chef with Chef Gazpacho, who would teach you different recipes to cook. More often than not, he would make a recipe that would turn out like gunk or bleck or gack. And it would be up to you to find out what the missing ingredient was in the recipe, which was impossible for me to figure out as a kid. And then there was the Monkey and Monkey show, where Monkey and Monkey would put on a silly comedy act with different jokes. You could make your own movies by using the movie maker in your house. The list goes on. There were so many ways to be entertained in this virtual world just by having your Webkinz play in their house. And that's just the house, because there's still so much more that Webkinz World had to offer. Obviously, you're over here working your ass off to provide for your children. These Webkinz are living rent-free and need to learn the value of $1. So where should we take them? The employment office, of course. You can bring your Webkinz to the employment office and choose from a variety of different jobs. Here you will meet Tabby Von Meow, who runs the office and will help you select a job. Completing jobs will not only earn you Kinz Cash, but will get you leveled up on your resume. There are different levels for jobs like easy, medium, and harder levels can be unlocked by answering questions in Quizzy's Corner. Quizzy's Corner was another place you could visit that was a trivia game hosted by Quizzy the Bear. Here you could be challenged to complete different quizzes with subjects like science, social studies, and math. It wasn't all completely educational though. There were also subjects like fun facts or pop culture. And these questions honestly have not been updated since the game came out. So a lot of these questions are super outdated and really hilarious to see. What the fuck are some of these questions? Why would my 8-year-old self know this? Logged onto Webkinz World and noticed your pet was sick? Well, no worries. You could take your pet to the clinic. Dr. Quack was a character that would take a look at your Webkinz and treat your Webkinz with medicine. I loved this part of the game. Again, it just truly made your Webkinz pet feel alive. Dr. Quack was a pretty popular Webkinz character, and fun fact, he's also been romantically linked to Miss Birdie. We love Webkinz lore. One of the other exciting aspects of Webkinz World was the ability to play with your friends online. Each player was given a Kinz Chat cell phone where they could add other players to their chat list. To play games or meet up with your friends, you would have to turn on your phone and make sure you were both in the same zone color. It was so much fun to invite your friends over and run around all of the different rooms together. There was a pre-written chat program you and your friends could use called Kinz Chat to communicate with each other. Or if you were like me, you would just hog the family phone and talk to your friends while you were playing. You could also send your friends letters and gifts in the mail as well. The tournament arena was another super fun way to play with your friends. You could play single games yourself or face off against your friend or a random player online. Some of the games were games you could already play at home or in the arcade, and others were more specialized and could only be accessed in the arena. My personal favorites to play at the time were Rock, Paper, Scissors and Webkinz Chef Challenge. There was another game you could play in Webkinz World that you couldn't find at the arcade or the tournament arena. Does anyone remember Dicekins? It might not be a complete standout to you because I feel like the majority of us kids were not playing this game because it was incredibly hard to figure out for no reason. It seemed simple enough at first glance, rolling the dice and moving your Webkinz around the board, but trust me, I was just mashing buttons. I had no idea what I was doing. Want to find out the latest news happening in Webkinz World? Then look no further than the Webkinz News newspaper, or the Kinsville Times as it was later renamed. I absolutely loved this page on the website. This was originally the first page that players would see when logging into Webkinz World. Here you could read about the latest events happening in the Webkinz community, you could look through different Webkinz you want to buy, you could see tips for making Kinz Cash, scores and achievements for games, and you could read questions and answers from Plumpy's Advice Corner. I loved reading through this as a kid. Plumpy the Hippo would respond to the players' questions about the game, and I remember constantly asking Plumpy questions, and I don't think I ever got answers. Another section of the newspaper would include the W Tales, which were stories you could read about different characters in Webkinz World. You could also purchase these books from the W Shop and read them in your home as well. I didn't spend too much time reading these stories as a kid, but now as an adult, I'm over here like, what lore can I find? Speaking of lore, have you ever really thought about the little creatures in Webkinz World? Did you ever question these things at all while playing? I feel like none of us really did, but it's another element that Webkinz added in the game to make the world feel even more magical. Zingos are a species of creatures that you could find while playing different arcade games on the website. There are all sorts of different variations of these little guys, and you'll find them whacking each other with baseball bats, or hitting each other in the face with pies, or exploding. We love them anyways. As you can see, the Webkinz World website was full of so much life and wonder so early on in 2005. A year later in 2006, we were introduced to so many memorable Webkinz plushies. I remember the panda bear was the very first new Webkinz that I saw on the homepage. I was so excited. I was like, I have to have it, which I finally do now. With each new Webkinz that was introduced at the time came the insane amount of kids who were begging their parents for the next one. I remember remember going to school and all of the kids talking about the latest Webkinz and which ones they were wanting to get next. 2006 was also the year that we got the most iconic Webkinz, in my opinion, the Googles. Oh my god, did this Googles cause so much chaos. I remember all of the kids being like, isn't this a platypus? But no, it's a Googles. The Googles is a made-up creature that was based on a Gans plush series from the 80s. It was actually one of the very first Webkinz to be made, but was released a year later instead of launching with the other 8 in 2005. I thought they were so cool and I absolutely had to get one. This was also the year that we did see the cheeky cat and the cheeky dog retire, but in return we were introduced to the cheeky monkey. Lilkins were also added for nearly every Webkinz pet at the time. And at the end of the year in December, the Love Puppy was released as the very first seasonal Webkinz pet. Seasonal pets would be around for a limited time, making them a bit more rare to own. 2006 was birth of one of the best places to go in all of Webkinz world, the Curio Shop. The Curio Shop is a shop owned by Artifact, a dog character who sells furniture and random items that rotate every hour. Prices can either be higher or lower than the W Shop depending on when you visit. Artie also has rare items as well. After retiring from archaeology, Artie decided to open this store to sell the artifacts that he found on his adventures. You can leave Artie cash tips, and the more tips you leave and items you buy, the more you'll increase your friendship with him, which I had no idea about. You'll be able to notice the change in your friendship when he uses different phrases when entering the shop. I'm used to hearing him say the iconic phrase,
"Welcome to the Curio Shop. Hope you find what you're looking for."
And apparently this means you only have a level 2 friendship with him. Artie, listen pal, I've been coming to your shop for the last 19 years. We should be better friends than this. The Curio Shop isn't necessarily iconic for the deals on furniture items. It's more well known for the place where you can go hunting for gems to earn the legendary Crown of Wonder. Everyone wanted this Crown of Wonder as a kid. Once a day, you could choose one of the 5 different mines and have 3 chances to find a gem. There are 30 gems to collect, with some being more rare to find than others. Once you collect all 30, you can trade them in for the Crown of Wonder and brag to all of your friends. Some of the new arcade games that were added in 2006 were Ant Mania, Candy Bash 2, Zingo's Pie Throw, Quizzy's Word Challenge, and with the announcement of Googles, we got another favorite of mine, Go Go Googles. Another iconic game that you could play in 2006 was the Wishing Well. Not Wishing Well 2, not the Wishing Well game we know today. There was a Wishing Well game before the Wishing Well 2. Like the Wheel of WoW, this game could only be played once a day, with 5 wishes you could make. You would want to get more than 1 icon in a row to earn Kinz Cash. Floating objects were introduced with the introduction of Googles, with collectible Goo berries flying across your screen. Easter, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas were all celebrated along with Webkinz' first anniversary in April. Can you believe we're still only in the beginning era of Webkinz? There was so much to do, and so much that made these toys super special. With time, I was able to get so many of my family and friends hooked on Webkinz. I literally thought the rise of Webkinz was all my doing. And it was only popular because I was telling other people to get it. I started hearing other kids in elementary school talking about their Webkinz, and I was like, you're welcome guys, you can all thank me. Meanwhile, I hadn't even discovered it on my own. My friend showed me the website. But anyways, let's head into what I would like to name the Takeoff Era. From 2007 to 2008. There were nearly 30 Webkinz pets and 7 Lilkins pets added in 2007. Some standouts from that year were the koala, the sherbet bunny, the love frog, and the penguin. We also saw 8 different pets retire that year, which I remember thinking, wow, they're really retiring a lot of Webkinz. Little did I know how many Webkinz pets were about to be retired and added later down the line. 2007 was also the year that the Pet of the Month was introduced. Each month, one of the Webkinz pets would be named Pet of the Month, and adopting that Webkinz that month would give players exclusive prizes and allow them to participate in special events. Something else that began to pop up around this time was Webkinz merchandise. I'm talking about products like body spray, lip gloss, mouse pads, bookmarks, ornaments, and more. This felt so random, but also so cool to see in stores. I had some of the body spritzers, and I remember them smelling so sweet and sugary. They also eventually had Webkinz silly bands, which is absolutely iconic. I remember having these fluffy purses to carry my Webkinz around in. It was just so adorable. Webkinz Webkinz trading cards were also a new addition this year. I was personally very excited about this because I was already trying to collect trading cards from Bella Sarah, American Girl, and Toontown, so I thought that Webkinz releasing their own was the coolest thing. This was also the year a clubhouse was added to Webkinz World. The clubhouse had 2 different sections to select, one with regular Kinz Chat and one with Kinz Chat Plus. With Kinz Chat Plus, you were able to actually type out words and sentences rather than using the pre-made ones with regular Kinz Chat. The clubhouse was also host to a bunch of different rooms where you could take your Webkinz, meet other players, hang out with friends, and play games. The rooms all had different themes and things to do, like restaurants or bowling alleys or rooms to trade items. Another aspect of the clubhouse was the addition of Doug's collector room. You could find Doug the dog here, and you could trade gems with him for special prizes. In one of the W Tales stories, Doug the dog and Artie Fact were actually really good friends, like brothers, but their friendship sadly ended after their last adventure together. Doug was really obsessed with hunting for gems and wanting to keep the gem mines a secret from everyone, but Artie insisted they tell everyone about their discovery and share the mines with the citizens of Webkinz World. After Doug was angry over this, Artie refused to take him to the mines, and their friendship was never the same since. I find this to be super interesting, and I wish we could see even more stories about all of these Webkinz characters, especially because there are so many of them. The Charm Forest was another addition to Webkinz World this year, which I was really excited about because I've always loved fairies and anything super magical. Later renamed the Magical Forest, this was an area of the game where you could use the code from your purchased physical Webkinz charm and unlock special activities. Collecting 40 virtual charms would win you a big prize. The purchase of a charm would unlock Fairy Falls, which was an activity where players could use a magic wand to reveal a pixie pod. Pixie pods themselves could also contain virtual charms, Kinz Cash, and other prizes. I remember being disappointed because this is one of the first moments where there was an area of Webkinz that I didn't have access to. I didn't have any physical charms, so I couldn't join in on all this magical Webkinz fun. The Kinz Style Shop was added, which was a boutique where the player could purchase high-end clothing. The store is owned by Persephone, the poodle who absolutely slays on the cover of the Webkinz Supermodels game. To access the shop, the player would have to enter a code that was accompanied with the purchase of physical Webkinz clothing. I remember when I first saw the new clothes and I thought they were so cute. And I remember being really excited because this was the first time we were able to actually buy dresses for our Webkinz pets. Another location in the game that I was super excited about was the Kinzville Academy. This was a place run by Ms. Cowaline where you could bring your Webkinz pets to school. Here, you could select your pet and take 3 classes per day. There were 8 different classes you could choose from, like speed, creativity, and style. I loved the talent courses. The cooking class was definitely my favorite. I wanted to eat those little pancakes. Your pet would have their own report cards that would display their level in the class, and the more classes that would be completed, the more they would level up and earn a new pin. After 15 days of classes, you were rewarded with recess. There were different mini games you could play for recess, like spinning the merry-go-round or digging up buried treasure. You could also receive a lunch bag for your pet as well after playing these games, and I remember seriously looking forward to it. Now, up until this point, the website had remained pretty much entirely ad-free. The only thing it was really promoting was itself. But 2007 was the year that we started to see Webkinz promote other things, like the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie or the Bee movie. Advertisements in kids' spaces is a bit of a controversial topic in general, as a lot of parents don't like the idea of their kids being subjected to random advertising and influenced to buy certain products. According to an article, there was an advocacy group that was demanding the ads be removed from the website. The group's director states that one of the reasons why parents buy Webkinz for their children is the expectation that the site will be free from advertising. It's disappointing that the site is choosing to maximize revenue at the expense of children. We discussed this topic a little bit in my Millsbury video, as pretty much the entire virtual world itself is an advertisement to an extent, but I do think that a good majority of the time these advertisements were pretty harmless and they weren't something that kids cared too much about or really fed into. Kids weren't really focused on the ads themselves and just enjoyed playing the mini games no matter what they looked like. At the end of the day, they didn't seem like super obnoxious pop-ups. They just kind of chilled in the corner of the screen and they just gave kids extra items based on the movie. What do you guys think about this? There were some new games that were added to the arcade this year, like Home Before Dark, Polar Plunge, Cash Cow 2, and the original Wishing Well game was retired and replaced with the game that most people know today, Wishing Well 2. It's rumored that the original Wishing Well game was replaced because parents thought that the original design resembled slot machines. We were all just sitting at the computer gambling as 8-year-olds. The tournament arena also also added some new games to play like Trading Card Challenge, Webkinz Supermodels, a classic. And I'm pretty certain that Pinskins Bowling was also added around this time. With the growth of Webkinz this year, not only were kids running around super excited about which Webkinz they were going to buy, but the internet was buzzing about Webkinz as well. And with all of this new attention came rumors. You may know what I'm referring to, and we couldn't have had a Webkinz video without it. I'm talking about the infamous Webkinz killer. In 2007, a rumor was spread around that there was a virus or Webkinz character that was added to the game that had the ability to hurt your Webkinz or wipe your computer's hard drive. The Webkinz wiki states that there were many players that believed this killer would appear on your screen as a black penguin with red eyes. It's funny because I do remember this rumor, but I had a different description of the Webkinz killer. I was told it was a green tree frog and that its name was Bloody, and he would just randomly appear in your Webkinz house and crash your computer. Does anyone else remember that one? There was another rumor that the Webkinz killer was actually Dr. Quack, and I remember someone made a video on YouTube about it trying to prove that the rumor was true. There were all sorts of Webkinz killer videos at the time, and the rumors spread around so much that Webkinz actually had to address it and let kids know that there was no one that was out to harm their pet. In an interview with Carl Borst, he said that the rumor was really annoying. As kids age up into their tween, early teen years, scary and gross humor becomes more popular. But we had worked so hard to keep the game kid-friendly and non-violent that hearing about kids honestly being scared that a virtual killer would kill their pets ticked me off. Writing those articles acknowledging the rumor was something I didn't want to do, but had to. Even though there were rumors and videos spreading around about things like this at the time, the majority of Webkinz feedback was incredibly positive. Kids were making videos on YouTube just playing American Idol with their Webkinz plush, or creating music videos with their Webkinz online. And not only that, but other companies were taking notice of the Webkinz hype and were trying to join in and create their own plush and virtual worlds as well. We saw Ty create 2 virtual worlds, Ty Girls and Beanie Babies 2.0. There was Shining Stars, created by Russ Berry, Build-A-Bear, Littlest Pet Shop, and American Girl were creating their own online worlds that could be unlocked with secret codes. Webkinz was the blueprint for all of this. The game was truly exploding into something so magical and wonderful. 2007 was such an exciting year, and probably my favorite year in all of Webkinz. And we still had so much more to come. The next year, we saw so many cute Webkinz clothes available to purchase as well. It was adorable to see so many of the clothes we already knew from the W shop become something you could actually put on your physical Webkinz. Figurines were also another new piece of merchandise that fans of the game could purchase. By 2008, there were around 80 physical Webkinz added to the game, possibly even more. I had a hard time counting. You see why I called this the Takeoff Era? They were just going and going. And I'm sure maybe you picked up on the fact that I said physical Webkinz. Like, why wouldn't they be physical? Well, this was the year they decided to include virtual pets as well, which I remember personally not being a fan of. This meant a physical Webkinz toy would not be needed to unlock this pet online. You would purchase the virtual pets with e-store points instead. There were 7 virtual pets added in 2008, including a floral fox, a magical retriever, a bubblegum Masaurus, a minty reindeer, a purple monster, a tinker pup, and a wintermint reindeer. The thing is, they're all so cute, okay? The virtual pets were usually these really cool and creative designs that I absolutely adored. But like, I want a plush to come with them. You're telling me I can't have this adorable cotton candy sheep in real life? This is all I want in my life. This sheep right here. I can't own my own cactus cat or beanbag bear? Do you see this desert rain frog? This is an outrage. Webkinz Cares was a program that was launched this year, and it introduced Lilkinz pets with an additional red code on them. With each purchase of a Webkinz Cares pet, $1 from the sale would go directly to the Webkinz Foundation, which was a nonprofit designed to benefit children with the help of different charities. With the new Webkinz Cares pets released at the time, that tag could be used on the website in the code shop to unlock special prizes as well. This also unlocked special Webkinz Cares games, similar to the Wheel of Wow or Big Button of Kinz Cash. The pets themselves were only available at Walgreens stores, and the foundation itself ran until 2015. By 2008, the designs of Webkinz were just getting better and better. We were getting new animal species like birds that could fly around in their very own treetop themed bedroom, and we got fish and sea creatures that could swim underwater and have their own water themed bedrooms. And I thought this was such a cool concept, and I loved that you could move them outside of their water rooms and they would have like their own little bubbles surrounding them. They were just getting more and more creative at this point. And of course, the website was growing even more too. Each year, the website would update little by little. By this point in 2008, there was a feature called My Pets added to the Things to Do tab. Here you could scroll through all of your different pets, see their birth certificates, and there was also a daily activity where you could fill up a heart by logging into the game each day in a row. If you logged in for a full week, you could win a gift. An additional feature was also added called My Page, which was kind of like a mini MySpace for 8-year-olds. You could share information about yourself and your pets, showing off your favorite items or badges that you've earned in the game. This was unfortunately removed later in 2017. Webkinz also added a demo for players to create free trial accounts for one day so they could check everything out and decide if they wanted to become an official member. The Webkinz Stadium was a new place that was introduced. Fred Rover is the host of this spot, where you could enter your pet in competitions against other players like cooking, running, and beauty pageants. But sometimes you would have to wait like 30 minutes for the competition to start, and I was way too impatient for that. The arcade was constantly getting new games added or removed at this point. Some standouts this year were Smoothie Moves and the Pizza Palace game, which I really enjoyed because it reminded me of Diner Dash. Atomic-alicious was also added to the tournament arena. The Wish Factory was a location that opened up in Webkinz World. Amanda Panda was the host, and the players could exchange Wish tokens for exclusive items. You could earn Wish tokens by playing games like Token Balloon Darts or the Wheel of Wishes. Adopting specific pets or logging onto Webkinz for your birthday could also earn you Wish tokens. And another exciting new feature released at the time was the travel agency. This was an area hosted by Debbie Dragon where you could send your Webkinz to the vacation island or the spa getaway. If you chose to go to the spa, it would restore your pet's overall happiness, hunger, and sleep. I personally loved to go to the vacation island. You could buy a ticket for 500 Kinz cash and have access to the vacation island for 24 hours. Here you could find a room called Coral Cove, spin the vacation wheel, head to the souvenir shack to buy some goodies, play a game called Treasures of the Crystal Sea, and Don't Rock the Boat, where you could either receive a prize or get spooked by the pirate ghost and bring your pet's happiness down to 0. I was totally freaked out by this the first time I saw it. I just was not expecting that. Alyssa's Star Challenge was added to the Magical Forest. Here you could catch and collect special stars in exchange for prizes. You had 3 chances to collect a star every day, and I absolutely loved this feature. You could add the stars to your star collection, or the fairy Alyssa could purchase them from you. Remember those figurines I brought up earlier? Well, purchasing one and activating the code would also reveal the woodland wonders in the forest. This would unlock another activity where you could use another one to reveal a prize box. You may be starting to see a bit of a pattern here. We're doing a lot of purchasing additional Webkinz products in order to have access to exclusive areas on the Webkinz website or earn special prizes, which is cute every once in a while, but these areas of the game just kind of remind you that you need to continuously buy more Webkinz products in order to enjoy aspects of the website, and I really wasn't a fan of this as a kid. I already had to purchase a single Webkinz every single year in order to keep my account going. Did I mention that yet? Yes, in order to keep your Webkinz account back in the day, you would need to purchase and register 1 Webkinz every year or your account would deactivate. Luckily, your account wouldn't be deleted, it would just kind of be archived until you're able to register a new pet. This would all just be the beginning though. As we go on, we'll start to see some more features kind of just locked behind a paywall. Now let's enter the years that I would like to call the peak era. By 2009, we were fully submerged in the eStore. Virtual pets were starting to get released on the website pretty consistently. The Birthstone Pet series was released this year, with 1 virtual birthstone pet released each corresponding month. Tons of classic Webkinz plush were being pumped out too, but because Webkinz had been releasing their normal plush for the last 4 years, they wanted to start doing something new. And this was the year that they decided to not release the cotton candy plush sheep, but to release a new series of Webkinz pets known as Webkinz Signatures. Webkinz Signature pets were a higher quality, more detailed and realistic plush pet that were designed by a different company and under a contract with Gans. Signature pets would unlock a wish token and an item from the signature theme online. They were also more expensive than regular Webkinz pets, around $27.99 at the time, which by the way, I know we haven't talked about Webkinz pet prices in a minute, but I remember by this point, classic Webkinz pets were way more expensive than the $10 they were back in 2005. I remember them being anywhere between $15 to maybe $20-ish at the time, maybe even more depending on what store you were shopping at, which is insane. insane. Now, I may honestly be the odd one out here, and let me know your thoughts on this, but when Webkinz released these signatures, I didn't really like them. I didn't really like the realistic look of them. They just didn't feel like the Webkinz that I'd grown to know and love so much. They didn't have that same Webkinz style and charm. It just kind of felt like any other plush stuffed animal I could get at the store. Let me know your thoughts. The Caring Valley was another extension of Webkinz Cares, introducing some classic Webkinz pets with special green tags. I actually have one here for you all to see. The codes would unlock 4 saplings and an enchanted tree online, with each sapling you plant representing a charity you can select for Gans to donate money to. This feature was retired later in 2013, but the enchanted trees can still be unlocked today. With the growth of the classic Webkinz website, Gans decided to add another plush Webkinz toy and website. 2009 was the introduction of Webkinz Jr., which was a line of plush Webkinz pets aimed at a younger audience of children from ages 3 to 6. The plush had a bit of a softer color palette and fur, with their cartoon counterparts stylized having a bit of a round, pudgy baby look to them. With the introduction of Webkinz Jr. plush, also came the Webkinz Jr. website as well. It was a more simplified version of Webkinz World with different locations and games to play. It honestly kind of reminded me of the old Jumpstart computer games. I was too old for Webkinz Jr. at the time, but I'm curious if there's anyone out there that started with this version of Webkinz, and if you liked this version of the game. Another interesting plush toy that Webkinz decided to introduce this year were pets known as Zumbuddies. Zumbuddies are fictional species in Webkinz World that reside in Zumware, and they're meant to be like a pet for your pet. I believe Kinz clips were also released around the same time, which could also unlock some Zumware magic. With the addition of Zumbuddies pets came a whole Zumbuddy world. Once your Zum was unlocked, there was access to Zumware in the magical forest. The pets themselves could be taken care of and played with, but they could not be directly controlled like classic Webkinz pets. Zummies became a new currency for players to use to purchase furniture for Zum's rooms in your home. There were also 7 different species of Zums, like bratty, giggly, lazy, or sweet, and one Zum species was scrapped known as the hidden species. And I honestly wasn't super interested in it at the time either, which is surprising because I did love like a lot of the different magical elements of the game, but let me know in the comments if this was something you enjoyed. Now, something happened in 2009 that would change the website forever, and that was the introduction of deluxe memberships. One day you logged onto Webkinz World, hopped on over to the arcade, and saw with your own eyes that there were new Webkinz games that you could not play. These Webkinz games were for deluxe members only. And that's not all. There were items in the W shop that were members only. You couldn't access some areas in the magical forest and the vacation island. And it was a bit frustrating because technically Webkinz was already pay to play. You already had to purchase that $20 Webkinz pets to play the game anyways. And now you're telling little Maya that she can't play certain games like the cool kids with deluxe memberships? And you know my parents were already suffering with me begging them for both a Toontown membership and a Club Penguin membership simultaneously. Some other fun features added this year were places like the Kinz Style Outlet, which was a new shop that was added and hosted by PJ Colley. You could buy clothes at a lower rate here than the W shop. Kinsville Park was a new addition. This is a location where you can bring your Webkinz and allow them to walk around, play games, and collect litter in the park. Collecting a lot of litter would add to your green score and earn you prizes. Here you can also find Mr. Moo 1 hour at a time, and you can buy ice cream from him. Music Stars was a new page on the website that would dedicate a music video to the pet of the month. Any user that adopted a pet during that specific month was able to download the song for free. I feel like this was definitely a very loved feature on the website at the time. It's so precious, honestly. Jumbleberry Fields was a new daily game added to the Webkinz arcade. We hadn't had a daily game since Wishing Well 2 was added, so that was pretty exciting. Webkinz Rally, Polarberry Jam, and Eager Beaver were 3 new games, and Bamboo Break was added as a deluxe-only edition. According to the interview with Boris, the peak of Webkinz was Easter 2009, with 3.2 million players playing online that day. It seemed like nothing could stop them at this point, and it could only be up from here. This was truly the peak of Webkinz. So what would 2010 bring us? 2010 meant more classic Webkinz, more signature Webkinz, more virtual Webkinz, and more Zumbuddies. Gans also replaced the Birthstone Pet series with the Zodiac Pet series. And if that's not enough, a new Webkinz pet line was also announced called Mason Hamsters. This was in response to the absolute commotion around hamster toys at the time due to the rise of Zuzu pets. The Maze and Hamsters plush toys were a bit smaller, and each came with their own name, which you could choose to change when going through the adoption process online. 6 hamsters were released to start off this year. Unlocking your Maze and Hamster online would give you a special ball for your hamster to roll around in, and would give you access to the world of Maze and Hamsters. This was a separate game created using Unity web player, where you could build your own maze and roam around as your hamster in a 3-dimensional world. There was also Hamster Hamlet, where players could explore other parts of the 3D world and play games, which could earn them moolah and be used in the Maze and Mall. I did end up getting a Maze and Hamster of my own, but I remember not really using these features very much. I don't know why. I know a lot of Webkinz fans really enjoyed this aspect of the game, but I didn't really get into it. The Kinz Style outlet added a couple of new features to the shop. There was the t-shirt designer, where players could create a physical custom t-shirt to buy. Purchasing a shirt would also give you a code for a clothing gift box and custom framed t-shirt. And the clothing machine had the ability to make unique clothes for your Webkinz pets. By combining 3 different items, you could make a fashionable creation. If you didn't add 3 items that worked for a specific clothing recipe, you would get patchwork clothes, which I always got because I had no idea what I was doing. There were new games added to the arcade, of course, like Lily Pads 2, Downpours, or Wackier Zingos, just to name a couple. Star Drops and Whimsy Skies were added for deluxe members, and at this point, there was an entire map of Kinzville added to the website, showing off all of the many locations you could take your pet to. Party packs were a new way to have fun with your friends when visiting their houses. There were 2 types of party packs: house parties and party rooms. You could place a party pack down in a specific party room or in a room at your home. Parties came with different games you could play with your friends and prizes you could earn as well. As we have discussed many times on this channel already, the 2010s were a time period of quirky fashion, insanely epic music, and most importantly, the rise of technology and social media. Kids were growing up and were starting to grow out of playing flash games online. They were stepping away from the family computer and playing Temple Run or Cut the Rope on their iPads instead. They were being handed iPhones where they had access to different social media apps. It was all changing, and kids were spending less and less time on all of the once incredibly popular virtual worlds. And when it came to Webkinz, and this is just my opinion, but I was really starting to feel incredibly burnt out by all of the different lines of toys that they were just pumping out left and right, and adding features to the website that you didn't really have access to without the full membership, of course. The charm of the game and what made it so fun and special was starting to slowly fade away. At least it was for me. And I do recognize I was also getting older at this time and was outgrowing games like this, but I feel like by 2009, I was already starting to lose interest in the game, even if it was considered the peak of the website. It was all just getting a bit too much for me. So with that, I would like to name the next 2 years the Burnout Era. In 2011, Webkinz was still releasing classic Webkinz pets like the Sun Bear or the Bush Baby. For the virtual pets, a new series called Candykins was released with dessert-related themes. Zumbuddy plush toys were also officially retired by this point. The final music video for Music Stars was added in 2011. Webkinz World did add a few new additional features this year. The Adventure Park was a new location where you had to have a specific Webkinz pet like the Pink Pony or Spotted Frog in order to get access to it. Here you could run around and work on specific quests to earn rewards. In the Magical Forest, while playing Alyssa's Star Challenge, a new feature was added where the bad fairy, Nefaria, could appear on the screen. When clicked on, she will make an offer to trade stars like Alyssa does. Webkinz World hosts were also added to your Kinz Chat cell phone, like Ms. Birdie, Artifact, and more. You could interact with them and exchange gifts with them as well. In 2012, we started to see some more interesting pets pop up. The Rockers Pet series was released, and we also started to see some more unique prints on the puppy Webkinz, like the Spooky Puppy, or the Peace Out Puppy, or the Texting Puppy. Very much represents the time period. In 2012, Webkinz allowed for a new system for players to be able to create Webkinz accounts for free, which I think is really awesome, and I would have loved to see this feature earlier on. At the time, players only had the option of choosing a dog or a cat Webkinz to register their free account. But later on, this was expanded and players had the ability to choose more pets. This was the year we started to see certain features get updated or retired from the website. The travel agency was replaced with the Vacation Island and was made accessible for deluxe members only. entirely. Adoption certificates were updated, and the t-shirt design feature was removed entirely. Dicekins was also removed, which makes sense, sadly. The map of Kinsville was updated to a customizable map that players could rearrange to their heart's content. There were challenges also added with this for players to earn new buildings for their map. 2012 was also known for its addictive Facebook games at the time, so Webkinz had to hop in on the action and create a Facebook game called Webkinz Friends. The game ran for 2 years and shut down in 2014. I was just completely checked out at this point. I remember logging into the game occasionally just to see what was new in Webkinz World at the time, how my pets were doing, and just feeling incredibly overwhelmed with all of the changes added to the game. Kids were definitely starting to drop off at this point, and I think Webkinz was really trying to figure out, where do we go from here? How could they improve and really move with the times? And with that, we'll be entering 2013 to 2019, the years that I would like to call the Lost Era. The interesting designs of 2012 continued on in 2013 and 2014 with unique pets and printed pattern puppies galore. Honestly, it's kind of campy now looking back. Webkinz also had one of its only plush collaborations in 2014 with Grumpy Cat, from the Grumpy Cat memes that were super popular at the time. But like we discussed earlier, this was the rise of social media and iPads and mobile games. So in 2013, Webkinz decided to create a mobile version of the game. There were also extra apps you could download that were arcade games from Webkinz World, like Goober's Lab and Cash Cow. 2014 also added the ability for players to vote for one of the Webkinz hosts as mayor each year. 2015 is where we saw major changes happen to the website. For one, Maze and Hamsters was removed entirely, as many browsers dropped support for the Unity web player plugin at the time and made it more difficult for players to access and play. I recently found out that Maze and Hamsters Rewritten is also in the works. A huge update happened this year, known as Webkinz X, for Webkinz World's 10th anniversary. The entire interface of the website changed. Gone were the yellow and purple colors we had known for so long, and blue became more of a signature color. Both the dock and the Things to Do tab were updated, and a big feature was added that definitely stirred up a little bit of controversy. This was the family score feature that was meant to give players a more dynamic and interactive way to play with their pets. Your Webkinz pet could now ask the player to do tasks or play games to keep them happy and entertained. Fulfilling these requests would fill the pet's care heart and raise the player's family score. The pet request feature is still around today, and here's the thing, it can get incredibly annoying. I think the actual idea of it is a really cute one, but I think the problem is your Webkinz ask you to do things way too often. Like, it's always when you're in the middle of working on something else or trying to get something done, and they give you a timer to complete that task, and it puts all this pressure on you to get it done within like 2 minutes. And then if you don't, your Webkinz looks all sad and makes you feel like you're a bad parent. Like, why are you trying to guilt trip me right now? I'm trying to provide for you. I think the idea was there, it just wasn't executed in the best way. This was the year that the iconic 10-year anniversary Webkinz pup was announced, which I think is one of the most sought out and expensive Webkinz plush pets to find online. But one of the biggest losses in 2015 was the retirement of Dr. Quack. Like, this was devastating, truly. Webkinz got rid of the ability for your pets to get sick entirely, stating that Dr. Quack, with the help of the mad scientist Goober, was able to find a way to cure all pets of all illnesses and retire. With this, the health bar at the bottom of the screen was replaced with a sleep bar. So I guess if the bars got low, instead of your Webkinz pet getting sick, they would just get sad. I don't know. This is a true loss for me. Dr. Quack did return as mayor in the year of 2016, and they did eventually bring him back with his very own clubhouse room, but it's not the same. In 2017, it was announced that a desktop app for Webkinz was in the works. By that next year, Adobe had decided they were no longer going to support Flash Player, which ran many iconic websites and Flash games back in the 2000s, including Webkinz World. Gans worked with Adobe to completely convert the entire game to the desktop app, which would finally be released the following year in 2019. Webkinz Jr. had already made its closure in 2018, and by 2019, Gans announced that the classic Webkinz plush that we had all grown up with since 2005 was officially ending, with no new physical pets being released. Fully virtual pets would still be created and released though. So what now? Well, Webkinz had another idea in the works. Heading into the 2020s, we'll see what Webkinz finally looks like today. Let's wrap this up with one final era, an era I'd like to call the next era. In November of 2020, Gans announced the creation of new Webkinz plush toys, along with a spin-off game called Webkinz Next. It was built using Unity and was an entirely three-dimensional world. With Webkinz Next, you could adopt new three-dimensional pets and explore the world of Webkinz in a new and unique way. It's a more multiplayer-focused world with the ability to chat with friends and visit their houses, play 3D mini-games, make babies, which I find to be really interesting, and more future updates to come. Now, the original Webkinz world was not replaced with Webkinz Next. In 2021, the browser version of Webkinz officially discontinued, and Webkinz Classic was able to be accessed through the desktop app. I would say from what I've seen online, the majority of Webkinz fans prefer Webkinz Classic over the newly designed Webkinz Next. Many players have expressed that they feel that the world is a bit empty and dead, with the characters having more of an uncanny look and feel to them. I did give the game a play, and I will say it was not as bad as I had expected it to be. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. A lot of the arcade games are the same as Webkinz Classic, but in an updated three-dimensional style. There's a map of different locations to roam around and interact with other players. I can see what people mean when they say it's a bit dead. There aren't too many players roaming around and making the world feel as lively as you would like it to. And now I know what fans mean when they say that the characters have a little bit of a deadpan stare into your soul. But at the end of the day, the game was created to appease the next generation of Webkinz players anyways, so I'm personally not the target audience for this game. And I think for the new generation of Webkinz kiddos, it's still pretty cute. If there's anyone out there that enjoys playing Webkinz Next, or knows any kids out there that do, let me know your thoughts on this. So like I mentioned before, Webkinz did release new plush pets with secret codes for both Webkinz Next and Webkinz Classic, with the latest pets being released in 2022. And as you can see, they look very different from the classic Webkinz we grew up with. They're very stylized with much bigger heads and glittery eyes. Where have I seen that style before? I don't know. They just look kind of similar to another line I know. What do you think, Crispin? But there have been no classic Webkinz plush released since this announcement in 2019. Even though there have been no physical plush toys made in a long time, the classic Webkinz community is still incredibly active to this day. Fans of the 2000s virtual world still play this game and adopt new pets, play their addictive arcade games, and enjoy so much of the magic this game brought us in our childhoods. Webkinz celebrated their 20th anniversary on April 29th, gifting a free 20th anniversary tiger to all of the players who were logged on that day. And there was another huge announcement made on Webkinz Day as well. It was announced that Webkinz will return to browsers in 2025. You can now search webkinz.com into your browser and play the game online, just like we could back in the early days. And they also plan on making some fixes to the game and adding back features that players haven't had for a long time with the app. They also brought Kinz Tunes back as well with some new Webkinz songs. I think Webkinz is making wonderful strides towards bringing the game back to its nostalgic roots for longtime fans of the game. And personally, I really do think if Webkinz decided to release their original plush pets again, that there would be a demand for it. So many adults enjoy purchasing toys from their childhood. Exhibit A. And I think plenty of adults would be so excited to start collecting Webkinz again. And I think kids today deserve to enjoy this version of the Webkinz plush too. Fans have been theorizing that the plush could be making a comeback this year, but only time will tell. I think we're now entering the comeback era. You truly never forget your first Webkinz. Back in 2006, I had a friend in elementary school show me her brand new Webkinz plush and the magical website that came with it. I was absolutely blown away, and I knew I had to get my hands on one. One day, as a surprise, she went out and got a Webkinz pet just for me. My very first Webkinz pet was a white terrier puppy who I named Sugar. Every day, I sat with Sugar near the computer, decorating her world and playing so many colorful and entertaining flash games. But I couldn't just keep this special world to myself. My friend had shared this treasure of a game with me, so now I had to share it with all of my other friends too. I got to experience so many of my friends' first time logging their pet onto the website, and from there on out, my childhood was filled with playing Webkinz games with my friends, hunting down the latest release in stores, and making so many incredible memories that I know are going to stay with me forever. I feel so lucky to have experienced this beautiful game, and I hope I was able to spark some special memories stories for you all as well. I hope I could take you on a trip down memory lane, and I want to hear all of your stories about Webkinz in the comments below. And make sure to let me know in the comments, what was your favorite Webkinz era? Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like more nostalgic deep dives like this, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This just lets me know that you're enjoying the videos and that you would like to see more. I also make nostalgic drawings, so if you're interested in that, you can follow me on Instagram at MayaFaithDraws. Thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.